Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast of Beyond the Bell. Today we have with us Sebastian Powell, who is the principal at Eastlake Elementary School. Always a pleasure having Sebastian here. And we have Matt Stanzione, who is a physical education teacher over at Eastlake, does a fantastic job with the program. And he's here to tell you about some of the benefits of the program, specifically the preschool program.
Absolutely. Thanks. I appreciate it, Dr. Sutter. First and foremost, I want to talk about the staff that we have over at Eastlake and any success that we are having with our preschool phys ed program. A lot of it has to do with them.
Okay.
When I came to Eastlake, back to Eastlake 3 years ago, I didn't have much experience with preschool students,
Sure.
and they really embraced me, not only the students, but the staff. And I just want to, whether it's the teachers, the paraprofessionals, the therapists, the behaviorists, the whole crew really embraced me, and we really do a great job with them, and they're a big part of it. So I just want to first give them a shout out.
I have to agree with you because every time I go to Eastlake, everybody has a smile on their face, Sebastian. I mean, the people couldn't be happier there. In fact, my daughter's a substitute there. I have to give her a shout out. And Sebastian takes care of her there at ESS. And Savannah loves it there, and you guys take care of her, and I really appreciate that.
And we love having her down with the preschool too, because she does a really great job with her.
Yeah.
So just talking about the program in general, we have 3 programs in our preschool. We have an inclusion that's for 3-year-olds in the morning, and in the afternoon is for 4-year-olds. We have an extended day program where the students are there pretty much all day long.
Mhm.
And then we also have a transitional program where it's kind of the students that are in between. So the students who are in the extended day program have a little bit more severe disabilities, and those students in the transitional program are somewhere in between. So what we try to do, the inclusion in the transitional classes, we work on specific skills, especially the 4-year-olds. We're trying to get them ready for when they get to kindergarten and full day school.
Sure.
So we'll work on skills like locomotor skills and specific like throwing, catching, kicking a ball, things like that.
Sure.
And the big thing that I learned about preschool coming in is how important routines are.
Routines.
You kind of take that for granted, especially somebody I've taught at the elementary and the middle school level. So you kind of take for granted how important it is to have routines, especially for
Right.
3 and 4-year-olds. So we come in every day, they walk around the gym, they do some laps around the gym. The next thing is we do a skill, an activity, something like that, but it has to stay consistent for them to
Sure.
understand what to do and really learn. The extended day program is a little bit different, and the classroom is built a little bit different, and that really needs to be even more consistent
Okay.
to the point where it's almost looking like it's the same thing every time they come in. It's station activities. So, for example, maybe we'll do 4 different stations. Maybe those stations.
What's the idea of the stations though? What do
Sure.
what like you most people don't know like what you're talking about. So what
Sure.
are stations?
So stations meaning there'll be 4 different areas where they're working on specific skills.
Okay.
Okay. And like I said, the makeup of the room may look the same. So the students know they come in, they walk around a roped area, and then once they're done with that, they transition to going inside the gym where those 4 areas might be.
Okay.
So, for example, it might be just bouncing a ball to themselves, or trying to roll the ball towards a target, or it could be tossing a beanbag into a bucket. So
And working on fine motor skills?
it'd be gross motor skills.
Gross motor skills.
Okay, in particular, especially in the gym, but we do work on some fine motor as well. It could be walking on a balance beam, crawling underneath a tunnel. I know the old school scooters. I mean, I think we all did that, right? Well,
Yeah.
laying on our bellies on the scooters and using our feet and playing. So within those stations, we will have different activities. Again, they may look the same if you were to come for a month and see what we do. Their schedule is still the same,
Mhm.
but we may change what they're doing within those stations in there.
Yeah.
And one thing that actually with the extended day classes in particular is I collaborate with those teachers and say, if there's specific assessments that you need to do for your students,
Sure.
tell me what that is and what that skill is, and we'll incorporate that as one of the places that they're going to.
Uh-huh.
And now the teachers can utilize that time to do those assessments.
So when he says assessments, like Sebastian, what is he talking about? So maybe you can inform the audience. What is he talking about assessments? Is that for a child study team? Like
A lot of times it could be with the therapists.
There.
They can do a lot of the therapies, the physical therapists and especially the occupational therapists.
Mhm.
They can come in or they can give instructions to Mr. Stanzione and they can emphasize and work on those activities and those standards that they're trying to achieve.
I see.
And
And that's from an IEP or
Absolutely.
a 504.
Right.
Okay.
IEP or a 504.
Right.
And then one of the better parts is that the teachers and the staff, the paraprofessionals and the teachers, they are part of it too.
Sure.
So it is a total group effort. They don't just drop off the kids and he's working with them. So they're reinforcing all the the standards and the
Skill set.
activities and the skill sets
Yeah.
that they're trying to work on with each individual student. So even though they're all there as a team, they can still work on the individualized goals of the students.
So, Matt, I'm assuming that you're involved with a lot of child study team activities. I'm assuming that you're involved in a lot of meetings with parents, like those types of
So
things?
I will say that I'm in a lot of communication with anybody that has to do with these students. So child study team is obviously a part of that.
Sure.
The behaviorist that works with those students, any of those students in particular, the therapist, physical therapist, occupational therapist. So
Sure.
and it could be via emails, it could be a sit down meeting. But there's a lot of collaboration that is involved. And also, like Mr. Powell was saying, it's not just me in there in a gym full of preschoolers.
Right.
The teachers, the classroom teachers are involved. And like the occupational therapist, the PTs will come in and work with those students. And like you said, they'll give recommendations to me, like, hey, for these couple of students, can we do this for this time
Sure.
or the next couple of weeks? So it's not just me brainstorming and trying to figure things out per se.
Yeah.
It's a whole group effort. A mentor of mine, a friend of mine, Mark Wright, always told me it takes a village.
Yeah.
And that's exactly
He's
what's going on
100%
here.
Right. Yeah. And that documentation is important because they'll use that documentation during those meetings.
Exactly, and they already have enough they cram into the classroom time, so that's why I tried to say, let's try to utilize the time for the 20 minutes or so they're in the gym, so they
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to cram it in when they're in the classroom. We can
Yeah.
get that stuff done there as well.
What's a success story that you've seen in the preschool? Tell us a success story. Like, what have you seen?
Well, I could tell you that what's really cool, and like I said, it's my 3rd year back at Eastlake, so 3 years working with preschool students. Some of them are our homeschool students, so I get to see them as a 3-year-old class and a 4-year-old class, and now they come into our kindergarten classrooms.
Wow.
And it's really cool to see how much they grow just from
Sure.
and again, I almost grow with them as an educator because 3 years ago was my first time working with those preschool students,
Yeah.
and now I see how they come into into kindergarten,
Sure.
and then hopefully throughout into 5th grade. So a success story for me is just seeing those students grow over time.
Yeah.
And it's really cool that myself and all of us have a hand in that.
Yeah, and like I see the field day over there. Like sometimes I go and I watch the field day. I mean, it's really unbelievable to watch those kids participate in field day.
Of course, and we actually do a preschool specific field day as well. So like
I've not seen that.
Oh, yeah, so what we do is, since we have an AM and a PM classes, we'll do, one in the morning, one in the afternoon,
Sure.
and we'll utilize our 4th and 5th grade students that are in the building to come and work with those students and help out as well. And I know Mr. Powell may talk a little bit more about that, but especially for field day, the 4th and 5th graders, I mean, the preschoolers love when the big kids come.
Sure.
That's for sure. And they actually sometimes listen better to them than they do to
Yeah.
the adults because they're sick of listening to us all day long, so they like listening to them. That's
Well,
for sure.
Let's talk about that. What does that consist of, Sebastian? What is he referring to?
The preschool provides a wonderful mentoring program
Okay.
for literally the K to 5 students. Academically, by the end of the year, every grade, kindergarten to 5th grade, will have an academic activity with the preschool.
Okay.
But in addition to something like the field day with our 4th and 5th grade students, they go and they are able to work the stations that he's
Sure.
spoke about before.
Wow.
And then
It's almost a reward system.
it's a reward. It could be a reward system that we use throughout the year, but also it's a wonderful mentoring program where the kids, who are doing what they're supposed to do, they get the chance to be like, all right, you get to go to this preschool class,
Yeah.
and they make it a part of their schedule. And just as much as the preschool students love when the
Right.
5th graders or the 4th graders come, the 4th and 5th graders love working
Yeah.
with that. But sometimes if we have a student who's trying to get on track a little bit more, we'll be like, listen, if you do this, we're going to let you go with Mr. Stanzione with the preschool class.
Oh wow.
And one time I was there and a student came in as a reward. He did what he was supposed to do, and he's able to work with that preschool class for that 15, 20 minutes, and it really keeps kids on track.
On task, right? And that's why you have such collaboration there. I
Absolutely.
mean, that's why it's such a family environment at the Eastlake.
It really is. It really, really is. And for the 4th and 5th grade students, it's voluntarily. So some students maybe for that time, or maybe they don't want to come, and that's okay. We want them to feel a part of it,
Yeah.
be ingrained in it. And then there's some students at first, they're like, yeah, I don't want to go down to preschool. And then they hear about what we do down there, and they're like, wait, can I go now? Could you put me on the schedule? So students aren't necessarily forced into having to work with the students at preschool students,
Yeah.
but it usually turns out where the percentage goes up as the year goes on.
If it goes into the leadership, you create leadership and,
Sure.
lead by example.
Yeah.
And now we're getting to the point, as you could probably attest, some of those 4th and 5th graders were preschoolers.
Right.
So now they are literally, going full circle.
No, absolutely.
You know, being at the elementary school is really a special treat. You know, I was a former, elementary principal, and every time I go there, I really enjoy going there. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about for the preschool program?
No, I just like I said, I really wanted to be able to inform the community
Yeah.
about the great things that we're doing here. East Lake School isn't the only school that has preschool. Lake Hiawatha
Right.
School, I know, is another one. I know they're doing great things there, but
Yeah.
I really wanted to just showcase and promote, or we wanted to, I should say,
Yeah.
not just me, about what a great job that's going on down there, and your kids are in great hands, that's for sure.
So, Matt, on a closing note, if parents out there wanted to, you're a coach as well. People that don't know that you're a coach 3 sports. Um, can they do anything to enhance their child's performance, like getting ready for sports? Like, is there any like websites or activities or things that they could go to?
I mean, the first and foremost is just ask your students what they're doing at school.
Right.
Because engaging in a conversation, and they say, "Well, we went to gym and we rolled the ball." Okay, so how about roll the ball with them? Have them showcase and demonstrate what they were doing,
Right.
and that's just a way to get more repetitions where they will get better at it,
Yeah.
and it's a way to connect with your child as well.
Right.
So that's the first thing. I do that with my children. You know, I have a 6-year-old who's in first grade. I ask, "What are you doing?" And we'll play some of those games that they're doing there.
Yeah.
So if I were going to recommend anything to parents, is just ask your child what they're doing, and then try to figure out what they're doing and keep
Yeah.
working with them, just like you would work on their spelling and their math.
Yeah.
Same thing when they're working in the phys ed room. That's for sure.
All right. Sebastian, any closing notes?
I'm just going to want to thank Mr. Stancione for enhancing this program. Is definitely growing, and I'm going to emphasize what he also said and thank the preschool staff and
Yeah.
the team
Yeah.
and the therapists and the paraprofessionals. It's a reward for the 4th and 5th grade, but it's also a reward for me when I walk in, and I'm always astounded at how well they work together, the collaboration and the growth of the students. It's great to see.
And also too, I also want to shout out the K-5 staff, because they are very flexible in making this work. You know,
Yeah.
their schedules are sometimes tight.
Yeah.
Being able to allow their 4th or 5th graders, or whatever grade it is, to allow them to
100%.
come down to the gym. So we really appreciate everything they do as well.
Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate
Thank
you
you, Dr.
coming in and
Sutter.
explaining, and it's always a pleasure to have you guys on the podcast.
It's my first time. This was awesome.
Listen, you're welcome to come back. So if you like what you saw today, hit that subscribe button. Great seeing you. We're signing off. Take care.